right, so today's video, I'm going to cover how to not fall for the law of drift and basically do the reverse of that. And the law of drift is something that Napoleon Hill has covered, so has lots of personal development trainers like Jim Rohn and many others in the past. But in a short English version, this is how to not stay the same forever on accident. Because I don't believe a lot of people do this on purpose. I think most people have good intentions, especially business owners, to genuinely be doing what they think is going to overall grow their life, fulfillment, business, whatever you have it. But unfortunately, as many of us know from results and anecdote, we don't seem to change automatically. And on accident, sometimes people will stay the same for 5, 10, 15 years. And you kind of look around like, dang, what happened? I have no idea. The time went by. So, first, we're going to talk about kind of like a couple things. We're going to talk about like what is, wow, I can't write, so don't worry. We'll zoom out so you guys can read it. We'll talk about what is drift. Two, how to do the reverse of that. And three, why it's important. And I know this is backwards to how most people explain things, but I think that's important. So, all right, let's get right into it. I know you guys' attention span is not supportive of me talking about nothing. So, first lesson, what is drift, right? And Napoleon Hill wrote a book called Outwitting the Devil. And whether you guys have certain views on this or not, in that book, he talks about how he's like having a conversation with the devil and he like internalizes or what's the right word personifies what the negative voice and self-doubt is inside his voice that's telling him to not he's not able to do these certain things, he's not able to get this stuff done. And so in there he said that the number one weapon that the enemy uses is drifting. And what he says drifting is the slow relaxation. And I'm not quoting this perfectly. So if somebody's read the book like yesterday and you're like, that's not exactly what he said, I'm sorry. But it's basically where you start to slowly back away from the things that you're doing, right? It's not overnight. You just happen to like slowly over day. So what do I mean? Like, so maybe you are somebody who started your business and it was going great, and this happens a lot in the online space or the client space, coaches for sure, service based industries, SMMA, all of the above, where like you do a bunch of outreach, you start doing the thing that gets you to the level that you want to get to, but then you take in all these clients, you take in all this work, then you have to fulfill the work, and then you stop doing the outreach, and then you start to, go and you focus on making your clients happy, which is great. That's what you're supposed to do. So that way you don't get bad reviews and all that. But then you need more clients and now you kind of have to play catch up and then that game can go on forever, right? But the reason why it goes on is there's like a small amount of time between when you are doing the thing that you know you're supposed to be doing and you're in this like motivated zone, and then there is the times where you're doing the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing, right? And usually I use these letters interchangeable. Who cares, right? This is the bad, right? And this is, oh, I just said this backwards, but I'm so used to it. You guys get it, right? This is what we're always doing. This is the bad stuff. This is the good stuff. Okay. And when we start to get somewhere and we're like, all right, I'm getting to my like goal because I'm starting to do the outreach. I'm starting to take, steps towards the ideal body or the diet or whatever you want to do. I'm starting to read personal development books. I'm starting to do blah, 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 right? What happens is most people, especially like around this time of year, don't just go from like being ultra disciplined to all of a sudden going right back to doing nothing and giving up, right? It's usually like you start this day and then the next day you're doing only three of those things instead of the four. And you maintain that for a little bit. And so you think, I'm still doing pretty good. I'm doing better than I was when I wasn't doing anything. But then you start to drift slowly and you're only doing two of these things, right? And then all of a sudden you only do one and then back to square one, right? Which is where we are. And this can happen forever, right? I want to make no mistake. Many people in your life, unfortunately, will never learn this lesson and will forever stay in this loop. They actually will blame every other thing in their life, the circumstance, the negative people in their life, everything else except for the fact that every time they find a consistent formula for winning, they drift away from it because of XYZ. And the reality is, for many of us, that's really hard, but usually easier to look at in hindsight, is Most of the time, the situations that and circumstances that were going on in our life are just as hectic when we're being motivated is when we're being unmotivated, right? A lot of the times, I hear this all the time on sales calls with people, in real life, like, yo, I would love to do this thing, but I can't because of XYZ, because I have this situation that's taking precedence. And the unfortunate thing is that those situations never really go away. They just kind of morph and change a little bit. And when you consistently wait for that, or you consistently say, hey, I can't because of this, well, then it doesn't even make sense because there's certain times that every person in their life has suddenly have been filled with the motivation to be able to be on firing on all cylinders. Now, this is a dangerous game, but what I'm talking about, I am not talking about burning yourself out and being an ultra disciplined person who has no room for fun. I've made 1,000 videos on the correct way to stay in your higher self, focus on a path that's positive without sacrificing burning out in your mental health. You guys can go watch those if you want to. But this situation of starting, okay, I'm super motivated, I'm less motivated, blah, 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 blah. That's drifting, right? It's not overnight. Nobody eats a cheeseburger, right? And then suddenly gains 50 pounds. It's a slow progression. It's the same way with business and everything else, right? So this is the problem. This is the enemy. And again, I can't make this up enough. It almost looks like a sad face altogether. Some people will not figure this out. So if you're watching this video, you likely won't be one because I'm gonna tell you how to stop it right now, right? And it's a lot simpler than you think, right? We call it the reverse drift, right? RD, because I can't spell on this thing. You guys are already tired of watching me squiggle, right? But the reverse law of drift is essentially the hack that separates, in my opinion, the 1% from everybody else. Most people are trying to do something that's impossible, and that is get the results that they think come with the actions. Okay. Say this result for you is having a business that does 10 to 30K a month, right? And so you think to do that, part of you is going to be having more consistent outreach. Oh my lord, my cursor's not working. Okay. So whenever this decides to catch up, it's going to be doing consistent outreach. We'll go back to squiggling. It's going to be running some type of advertising, essentially getting more eyeballs, right? As we always talk about, everything is just eyeballs to an offer, right? Hiring more, delegating, whatever the things you think you have to do in order to equal that level, those things, if you focus solely on trying to do these with the result of having this in a rapid amount of time, you're going to burn out. If you care solely or outcome driven in all of your actions instead of input driven, you will go crazy. Why? Because I have no idea, for whatever godforsaken reason, there is a testing factor of this world. Whenever you embark on a journey of wanting to improve in your business, health, relationships, whatever it is, there is something actively testing you all the time to make sure you really want to do it. But here's the secret that most people who actually get to these levels in business, actually get to 10 to 30K per month in their business, understand is that if you drift the other way, it is just as effective. You don't actually have to be Superman today, right? To have their dream life and business. In fact, I would argue trying to suddenly change your entire identity and actions and everything overnight. Now, you could change your identity, but then changing every single action of your life without first being crystal clear on what it is to actually be this and be happy, right? Because if we just make the goal monetary, yeah, maybe you can do these actions and it will get you that financial goal. But what will happen? You'll start to drift. You'll start to burn out because you haven't included the full spectrum of what that goal is. You haven't included the identity. Right. Part of my goals this year, I can't make this up, is to get better at content, but to play more golf and to watch more anime because those things make me feel more like myself. Right. And so if I'm feeling more like myself, I feel more confident. I'll start to drift more like the happiest version of myself because in my end goal, I have both the time and financial freedom to do that. I don't have to follow anyone's schedule. I don't have to grind. And so remembering that means I should make time for it now. So this is the point, right? So then once you assume your real goal, right, this starts with also having a super 4K, and I've talked about this on the page, but like 4K clarity, of what your goal life in reality needs wants to be like, right? Not just the financial and the material. What do you actually want to look like, sound like, feel like, talk about, do? And then once you start to make that giant list of things, right? It's going to be a long list like this if you take serious practice of this, right? And you should. Because again, the people who have your goal have already done this, or and look, I know I've seen videos where people are like, look, you don't need all the mindset stuff, you just get to work. If you were the type of person that just getting to work was going to work, I think you would have done it all right. There are those type of superhuman David Goggins people. For the rest of us who have processing emotions and thoughts normally, right? We have to use some of these hacks to get ourselves into the mode because we've been trained to go against our nature for so long. Grinding more is not going to help, right? So once you understand all of these different things that you want, all you need to do is start to slowly add on in the reverse fashion of drift things. So maybe today you start to read. If you believe that the better version of yourself is going to read more, start to read. Literally, that one habit completely change your life because the ideas that you will get as you read those books will be 10 to 15 times more productive for your life towards going to this goal than the ideas and thoughts you get when consuming other mindless content or when consuming other things that are literally meant to sell you, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? So then you go boom, boom, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna work on this diet. I'm gonna have more confidence in myself. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And you maintain it just like with the drift backwards, right? You don't the goal is not to go from zero to, geez, these pictures are not getting good, but zero to hero overnight. You guys get the point. Is to slowly add on, maintain, look, the thumbs up of approval and build. So that way you can reverse drift effortlessly to the dream outcome. Because if you focus on the outcome, you will never get there because you'll be trying to grind. You'll be trying to do this, and then that will come with burnout. And once you have burnout, you will start to drift towards comfort. Right. But if you start to make it natural and you start to drift towards your ideal self, then each time you master a new skill and add a new part to yourself, it gets more and more exciting. So this is literally a direct module from my program, True Diamond Mindset. But more importantly, I work one-on-one with people to help kill their self-doubt inside their business or personal life. And if you are an entrepreneur doing between 10 to 20K and you want to scale, but again, without burnout in a way that you drift toward it, you can apply below. And if not, and you just want to start getting figuring out, that's okay. I also have a mini course that's for you below that. And really genuinely, like I always say, my videos are more than enough if you're just getting started. So I hope you guys have the best day. Peace, love, and prosperity. I'll see you on the next one.